me in.
Help me in.
Here we are.
How's it going?
Good dude, yeah.
This is a fucking intro, I guess. It's a weird one. I'm not going to say I've not seen you for a while, because I always say that.
Yeah.
But this is a weird one. I was supposed to be at the fucking Monster later tonight, but Aaron, Frank and Laura's decided to fall and take a fucking leg off, so I couldn't get there tonight.
We'll find him a new one,
Old
don't
peg
worry.
leg, yeah.
So I'm in the old fucking Skype land in the Hall of fucking Brains. Yeah, all that kind of shit. So yeah, it's a bit of a fucking weird one tonight over Skype, which I don't fucking like doing, but we've got no fucking choice.
Got what we got.
Yeah, don't fucking rub it in, Monster, you fucking prick. It's your fault I started all this. Well, yeah, fucking. What we've got on the plan then tonight, old Lucas. Tonight we've got a fucking interview. Well, we're speaking to old fucking two guys from the States.
That's it. Yeah, we've got Stefan
pond.
over the fucking Skype world. We got Stefan from HorrorPunksUnite, and we've also got Rikk our treat as well. There's a question posed online recently, which alludes
His
to
name should have been Stepan Werewolf. Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf. Why doesn't he call himself
forget
that?
it.
Why don't you call yourself
Stepan
that?
Werewolf.
That would have worked really well.
Yeah, people would have gone, holy shit. Yeah.
That was a really cool name. We'll copyright that.
Copyright.
There was a question posed online recently on the HorrorPunksUnite page on YouTube, and it was, are misfits ruining horror punk? It's a very loaded question. It's a closed question, and we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail with Stefan from HorrorPunksUnite, and also Rikk our treat as well. Has got stuff to say about it, and we go into a bit more detail about that in just a moment.
Rikk or Ready Treat?
Rikk our treat, baby. Sammy Kerr.
For your bottom fans out there, Rikk or Ready Treat?
Rikk our treat. What I wanted to do before we go into that, there's just a couple of points that I wanted to just talk about beforehand. There's about 12 points. It's just stuff that's been happening on the scene over here in the UK or abroad. Would have liked a little bit more time, but when life gives you chicken shit, make chicken salad. First thing was recent.
Today in Horror Punk News.
Today in Horror Punk News.
Every time you bring up a point, I'm going to go dong.
Dong. 10 o'clock news. No one's going to get that.
Yeah.
Michael Graves tour recently in the UK.
Dong.
So on to the sale, supporting a couple of other bands on the tour. Graves, we had the opportunity for a couple of nights to hang out with the band.
Check out the last podcast on my ear.
Yeah, watched our last interview, our last chat with Michael. Salt of the earth, decent bloke, one of the most welcoming, warmest people I've ever met. Couldn't do enough for you. You two hit off very quickly.
Yeah.
And if you
Very
guys
warm.
yeah, really good. And the tour was brilliant and great atmosphere in every gig that we went to. We went to about 3 or 4 of the shows between us all. And we managed to have a chat with Graves. If you want to watch the previous one, we'll put a link in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about his time in WCW, professional wrestling. We talk about his friendship of Godzilla, and we talk about his relationship with Damien Eccles and the recent Danzig Misfits reuniting. And we just chat about that. And then Goolsby, our guy Goolsby as well, who's now playing bass for Graves. Not just for the tour we've just done, but moving forward, he's doing Canada and Europe. And as far as I'm aware, he's like a permanent fixture in that band now, or am I wrong?
No, he's doing these tours, and it's like they just announced.
Yeah.
You've got there's Graves, and then they're doing like over in the fall. They're doing Michael Graves. You've got Goolsby, Rover Midnight, and Nimvid.
Nimvid, yeah. And that's a hell of a fucking
lineup's fucking insane.
To me, that's a dream lineup to me personally, because
it's very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Goolsby's doing that, and we caught up with him with the lead singer from Bloodthirsters, didn't we, in Manchester?
Yeah.
And we had a little chat.
Shout out to Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Hope you're watching this, dude. It was cool hanging out with him, and he had that brilliant moment where Graves singled him out of the crowd, and they had just this synergy. A really cool moment. And brilliant.
Good stuff.
Also,
It was hard.
Very hard.
Doyle is touring next week.
Yeah, it starts on the 26th of March. I'm not sure.
Now?
Yeah, 25th. It's tomorrow, Monday.
If Misfits at some point in time this year, well, Gerald, say Misfits, Jerry only at some point in time comes over this year, we would have had, because Danzig's coming over soon.
Yep.
He's only did 2 dates, isn't he? He's doing Glasgow and London.
Doyle, Danzig and Jerry
Separate
all
shows.
on separate shows throughout 1 year.
We said the Misfits.
Which is, yeah.
Good point, actually. Yeah, they've all toured the UK. I know I'm doing Manchester as a part of the Devolution team. Gaz, you were going to do Manchester, but now it's the cards not Sheffield, is that correct?
I'm hoping to do Sheffield if I can.
We do Sheffield.
Yeah.
But the reasons you mentioned earlier, the fact that Gaz is doing a Skype interview rather than sat here with us is Laura's had an accident, can't drive, so now we've got a...
Because I'm fucked because I'm incompetent and I can't drive myself.
Gaz can't drive.
Gaz can't drive. Can't drive, it's mental. But, yeah, so are you doing Doyle or...
I'm hoping to go Birmingham Monday.
Birmingham Monday. So, yeah.
We're hoping to do, yeah.
And I've got Dead 13, show some name to us.
So, yeah.
But, yeah, cool guys, Dead 13, they're supporting. Chilling out with their lead singer, Black Shard, download last year. Lovely bloke, absolutely wicked. And I really hope that opens up a platform to them, because I know they've had quite high profile gigs and they've had music videos on perhaps Scuzz or Kerrang, I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, supporting Doyle is a big deal, and I hope that gives them the platform that those guys deserve. Next thing I want to talk about was Bedlam Breakout Psychobilly Festival last weekend.
The Flanders.
The Flanders were fucking fantastic. Biggest psychobilly festival in the UK, 2 times a year. It's always really good. I've always wanted to go, but I've only ever been twice, so I'm relatively new to the festival. I've always loved the scene. Batmobile, absolutely fantastic. Guanabat's brilliant. The Flanders, for me, were the best. Hollow Ghost, this Mexicana, Spanish-sounding side to psychobilly, even though they're from Denmark. They sound like they were Spanish, and it was brilliant. Just broke it up and gave a bit of fun. The Runaways were really good. There's a handful of us, Quaranted. If you're into your psychobilly, that's the place to be. And I can't recommend Bedlam enough. Fantastic atmosphere. There's a kinship and there's a community. It's the place to be. It's really good. Gaz, German HorrorCon.
Yes.
Yeah,
still going to that?
Week in the Hell.
What's the deal with that?
The Weekend of Horror.
Yeah, week in the Hell to it.
That's it. That's the HorrorCon. That's the HorrorCon.
I think Mario's going over as well, so you'll see Mario there.
Oh, is Mario going?
Yeah. What I'm going to plan on doing is I'm going to try and do something a bit fucking different for the channel. I'm going to do like what we did for fucking Hell Nights. I'm going to try and do the same, just fucking random bits and fucking bobs are getting there. I'm hoping to get there and just see some fucking cool shit.
Me too.
See.
You know what, Gaz? I wanted to do the same thing for Bedlam, do an intro, everything like that, and all I did was 3 live videos because I was so fucking drunk and having a good time.
That's the problem with it.
It's like a good time. I didn't do anything other than my live videos that some of you guys might have seen from Bedlam.
Yeah,
because I'm having a great fucking time.
I'm PayPaling you some money. There's a couple of things I want picking up that I don't get a chance to get round here because we've got nothing really round where I live. But I need them 2 Misfit Super 8 figures.
Hell yeah.
Before we drop the next 6 on us with a different colour Fiends to go with each album cover.
Yeah.
Day
Mega. Yeah.
I love the Super 7 series and stuff. And
what is actually at this HorrorCon?
It's basically, to be fair, they've got a lot of fucking cool people there. It's mainly the way it's turned out. It's because Bruce Campbell is like the main guest.
Right.
It's more turned out to be more of a fucking Evil Dead con, like guest wise. But the thing is though, like Weekend of Hell is Europe's biggest fucking horror con. Last year, I know for a fact, you've got fucking Dead Gein from Bloodsucking Zombies. Rad Usher were both there.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to be there this time. Hopefully they are, because I can go and fucking harass them. And talk some shit. But yeah, hope it's a case of like that HorrorCon in Germany. It was All I've heard is that it's the biggest one in Europe.
It is. It's the granddaddy in Europe.
It's a case of like, if I always wanted to go with it, and when Bruce Campbell, like the thing is what makes me laugh.
You met him recently though, Gaz, didn't you?
Yeah, we just did the book signing. He did the book signing in Manchester. It was crazy. Fuck me.
Whereabouts in Manchester was it? Because I live in Manchester. Whereabouts was it?
You know the fucking Central Library in fucking Manchester? Central Library? No. Near Oxford Road. Where the,
right, I know.
Near there.
Yes, sorry, I do know where you mean. You go down old-fashioned buildings, you go further down towards where the medical
what they did for this was a case of like, they had 2 tickets. It was either a £5 entry,
right,
or a £20 entry, and he got his book.
Okay.
So I was like, well, fucking, you like the book gets signed. So I was like, well, fucking, I'm going to jump on as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, of course.
It was included with a Q&A. He was going to do a bit of a book talk first, and then do a Q&A. But since there was that many, because it sold out within hours in Manchester. Tickets went on sale at 10 o'clock. It sold out about 1 o'clock. I don't think they quite expected it.
Yeah.
Because they did. What made me laugh, which was really fucking funny, about 2 nights before, they did a signing at Forbidden Planet in London.
Oh, yeah.
And it was supposed to be...
That's what I was telling you about Forbidden Planet, the toy shop where it sells the Batman.
It was supposed to be doing an hour signing, because it wasn't no Q&A, it was an hour signing at fucking 5 o'clock, and the amount of people that turned up he was there for about 6 hours.
Not surprised.
And he did not fucking... He didn't fucking leave until everybody got stuck.
Off the fucking chain. They've got about 6 versions of Aunt Harriet and Chief O'Hara from the 1960s Batman alone.
Yeah. It just makes me laugh. It's like...
I've seen about 17 versions of fucking Jey Uso. Yeah. They've got everything. You want it, they fucking got a toy of it. And they've
it's like the thing is, there's a bit of a fucking ongoing joke, because I saw it and he seems to sign in a blue pen. Yeah. And for me, blue pen's the fucking devil.
Oh, I love it. My handwriting looks gorgeous in blue pen.
It's fine, but fuck me.
Look at my hieroglyphics.
That's pen, not Sharpie. But Monster will understand this. If you got a fucking figure that would look fucking amazing in either gold or silver.
Gold or silver, or black on something.
Oh, when you're signing with a yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I had a print that I wanted to get him to sign, and it's fucking. Oh, this print is absolutely fucking badass, and it's one of the best prints I've fucking seen for a long time. But if it was signed in blue, you won't be able to see it. And the only reason, my biggest problem is, and it's fucking, the thing is what kills me the most, is me and Laura, the year before Roddy Piper died, we went to go and see him, and I had a poster, and it was a black poster, and he signed it in black pen.
Oh!
So I've got
what a tit. Roddy Piper is one of my all-time
For me, like Roddy Piper's the fucking man, but it's like I had this poster, like if that was gold, fuck me, it would look amazing. But it was signed in a fucking black pen, so you can't, you can't, unless you look at the fucking light, like fucking this, trying to fucking figure it out.
Is that in the place opposite Rebellion, Deansgate?
Yeah.
My best mate Jonah was there. You know Jonah Curtis. Yeah. He was there, and he got Roddy Piper to put in a sleeper hold.
Yeah, that's where I went, yeah.
Choked out with a sleeper.
I had the best fucking picture with him because he was wearing the fucking leather jacket.
Jimmy Snooker? Yeah. You're not going to kill him, are you?
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, no. Close.
Monster, next one.
Yeah, but say other than that, next question.
Jason's, they're going to get sued.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
New release of the Jason's album soon. We've heard it.
We've heard it.
We can't tell you nothing about it.
As will get sued.
Except for...
No, they're getting sued.
You'll get sued.
Yeah, it's really good. It's going to be controversial. At the same time, it's clever. As soon as it's officially released...
Very clever, very well done, extremely catchy.
A full review on it sort of thing. But
when we're allowed, we'll
go into it. We can't say anything. So... will they get sued or won't they get sued? So
yeah, they're definitely getting sued.
You guys need to see what's going to happen. Yeah. Trust me, it's well worth it.
Yeah, so, if you're a fan of the Jasons or not, if you're into rock and roll or punk or anything, and you're up for a laugh, and you like catchy music.
Yep,
Listen to Get Sued, coming out soon by the Jasons. We've heard it, we love it. We can't see any more than that, else we're gonna get sued too.
But on the next podcast, it had been released.
By
so
next time,
finally we can talk about.
Finally,
it. Yeah.
I wanted to quickly plug siblings of Sam Hain and Flirting with Corpses doing an acoustic tour. As far as I'm aware, it's either April or May. I don't have the dates in front of me. Partly because I can't remember, partly because I don't care, but I know I'm going to it soon. And I'm going to be doing the Manchester show for siblings of Sam Hain and Flirting with Corpses for Devolution. Again, if you've not heard either, Flirting with Corpses have got that Wednesday 13 vibe to them, but they're so heavy in when they're electric. It's almost like Cradle of Filth with the way Nicky Trash sings. Recently, I don't know if it's to do with band members or what it is, but they seem to do a lot of acoustic for whatever reason, unbeknownst to myself. And they're obviously going with siblings of Sam Hain, who are a horror punk acoustic band. It's Nave Raven, Savage Monster Promotions, Savage Monster, Ex Gorgeous Morgue. Really good stuff. If you haven't heard Siblings of Sam Hain, highly recommend. And it's going to be good fun with Flirting with Corpses. Next one is talk about the other Casket Case. Recently came out.
Yeah.
Gaz, you've done a review for your vinyl.
Yeah, it's badass.
Really good album. What I would say, the two songs that very much stand out to me as big time singles, and it's the first track and the last track.
Yeah.
And that song, I went to Hard Rock Hell, AOR Sleaze. So it's it's Skid Row, that sort of festival I went to a couple of weekends ago. All I had on my playlist was pretty much those two songs, the first track and the last track off the Casket Case. And it was Party on Crystal Lake. If that ain't catchy, I don't know what the fuck is. And What It's Like to Be a Monster. The last song is your fucking song.
It's not too bad, to be honest with you.
It's fucking brilliant. Well, he's still here, isn't he? So
you get a lot of scars.
It's taking a lot of bumps. Also, I wanted to just say about
Donald Bump.
Donald fuck what?
Donald.
Travelling Morgue Festival. It was.
It's not travelling anymore, is it?
It's not travelling. It was a really cool little thing.
It's parked with services and stayed there for a bit.
As far as it didn't happen last year, and as far as I'm aware, it's not happening this year. What a shame, because we had. Yeah, it's not Tommy's fault. Tommy's put his heart and soul into it, and he made it.
Tommy, for fucking.
It was. Love Tommy. Like I've always said, workhorse of the horror punk scene. Love him. But now we potentially don't have Travelling Morgue. What do we have?
Yeah.
And that then moves me on to say about this Glasgow festival, because we're all saying Hell Nights, Halloween, but actually they've not announced their lineup. But there's this thing happening in Glasgow.
Which is
we don't know what it is. What is it?
I don't know.
We don't know. It's either gonna bomb and be nothing, or it's gonna be something really special and the picking up the bones of what Travelling Morgue left. It's going to go one of two ways, but apparently there's this horror punk festival in Glasgow on Halloween. Bands haven't been announced; they've been hinted to us. We can't really say because it might not be true. It's either going to be something extremely special or it's going to tank, and I hope it's the former, not the latter, because I've got a lot invested in this. Because I'm potentially not going to go to Germany to Hell Nights to see three bands that I've seen before to do this own UK festival, and our answer to Ghouls Night Out or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it'd just be a case of
who knows.
We need to see who's on what and judge it from there.
When they've said more, we'll know more. You mentioned earlier Danzig playing UK in London later on in the year.
Like Glasgow, isn't he? Yeah,
that'd be good.
And we were going to mention about Goolsby bringing out a new acoustic album. We've posted a lot on our Facebook page, the Hollow Bodies YouTube clip of him doing, a YouTube cover. He does like an hour set acoustic and Wolfman Jackson, and really, really good. I always share that acoustic, and they're doing a Hollow Bodies acoustic album coming out. Really looking forward to that. And
Stefan the Wolfman.
Stefan the Wolfman.
Stefan Wolfman.
Stefan Wolf.
Stefan Wolf.
Stefan, you should have called yourself Stefan Wolf.
We're giving you these here for free.
He's the Wolfman.
Yeah.
But Goolsby acoustic album. Extremely excited about that. I've rattled through what we were going to talk about in 45 minutes. In like what, I don't know how long we've been talking. 20 minutes.
Yeah, just over 20 now, so we're all right.
Yeah. So that is more or less, in a nutshell, HorrorPunk.
Yeah.
That's our side.
In our opinion.
Yeah.
In the meantime, raining.
Yeah. Over to Monster with the weather.
It's raining again.
Yeah. Not near it's not. I'll tell you what, if it rained, I'll be pretty pissed fucking off, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's kind of about it.
Yeah,
so we're gonna jump into our conversation with
we're having a chat with
the Americanos, and we're gonna skim that stone across the pond.
Absolutely, our Yankee Doodle friends doing what we do, just with a different spin. We're reading from the same sheet. We're just doing it from two parts of the world, and we have a fantastic conversation about the influence of Misfits and what happened if it disappeared now.
We're supposed to be pretending this was filmed beforehand. You've just broke kayfabe there by saying we've already done this.
No, because
you've ruined that now.
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't. Kayfabe.
Yeah, I've ruined it. Yeah, this was filmed after.
Yeah, it was filmed after, but
this was filmed after.
So
to be fair,
let's,
most of our videos aren't filmed in order. That's why I go from drunk to sober to drunk to sober.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah, it's a good excuse, isn't it? So, yeah,
speaking of drunk,
catch up with what happens next.
Yeah.
And the grand question that is:
have Misfits ruined HorrorPunk?
Yeah, which seems to be the talk of the town at the minute. So we have it out and we have a chit chat and that because he spoiled it, so we might as well tell you. So you're about to watch a really long conversation with four dudes, actually 5 of us altogether, that really love this genre, and we pick at that question: have the Misfits ruined HorrorPunk? So,
and we talk about it and we do what we do, don't we? So
and we do what we do.
Let's do it.
We just talk, and like we're doing now, we just fucking talk because we've actually got nowhere to go with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, right, okay. This next one is the interview. Hey up, yeah, how's it going? Bit weird this time. I've got the old Skype conversation going off.
Hello.
Say how's it going, dude? So in this fucking weird fucking Skype thing.
It's a 4-way.
It's usual, isn't it?
Yeah, full on 4-way.
Go 4-way.
Yeah. So I'm in the Hall of Brains as normal. Mantra and Lucas are together. I should have been there tonight, but shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. We couldn't all be together, but we've got what we've got.
Yeah.
Let's see, myself, Monster here, where we normally are. Guys at the Hall of Brains, and we've got a couple of guests tonight. We've got Stefan from HorrorPunksUnite, and we've got Rikk, our treat as well. Both, really into the scene, exactly the same as we are doing. Pretty much the same as us, but in America, and giving their spin on things and their opinions and their views on things, the same way that we do over the pond. And we've had a few conversations online, and a few just debates about the genre and debates about HorrorPunk. And Stefan posed a fantastic question, and it really alludes to a lot of what we've said on previous podcasts and what we were going to talk about moving forward that we had planned, that we were saving it for a rainy day, if you will. And it's a loaded question. It is a beautiful can of wriggly worms.
Yeah. Could be asked in many different ways.
Yeah.
But asking the same question, yeah.
Absolutely. Stefan, did you want to pose your question again, just for people that haven't heard it before?
All right. Yeah. So the question is: are the Misfits ruining HorrorPunk right now? Not like back in the 90s, not back in the 80s, not back in the 2000s, but are they ruining now?
Yeah. And like we said, it is a great question.
It's a brilliant question, and I've got my answer that I posted on the Facebook version of the post. I'm going to read verbatim what I put, because I not necessarily misinterpreted the question, but what Stefan was alluding to is the influence that Misfits have had on the genre and that style of horror music, as we call it. I also interpret it as them now coming out again with this time with Danzig or carrying on with Jerry only being a bit of a cash cow.
Prices of tickets and all that sort of stuff.
Version of,
correct. I would consider now as 2010 to now.
Yeah, absolutely. My answer verbatim, if I can read it, I've got one eye that works, is along with the Damned and Alice Cooper, Misfits laid out the blueprint for everything that horror punk should be. I think a lot of people might be too cool for school on Stefan's original post, saying, that they've definitely ruined horror punk. I'd much rather see Misfits carry on and give us their all rather than carry away. Those Misfits songs deserve to be played, in my opinion, and they still sound great live. What some people's issue is the fact that they appear to be back with the original lineup solely for money purposes. Tours, merchandise, etc., all line their pockets, and a lot of people think that isn't punk rock. No one ever calls the Rolling Stones out for touring all the time each year because it isn't rock and roll, because they understand that money needs to be coming in order for that magic to continue. And then I went on to say, sure, the Jerry-only vocal era Misfits isn't exactly Misfits sounding as, say, the Danzig stuff. I think people should just enjoy it for what it is and just take it for what it is. I listened to the Nightmare on Elm Street EP and Vampire Girl with Jerry only on vocals at least once a week. If people don't like the high-budget, shiny Misfits tour, then don't fucking go. There are plenty of balls-to-the-wall horror punk bands out there on the circuit you can go and see that pay homage to the punkier sound and the punkier vibe. Then going on to the influence that Misfits have had over the years, which was the thrux of a lot of the conversation on Facebook. I said, in terms of a centralised sound, no, of course they haven't ruined the genre. So we spoke about this before on the podcast and we've got more planned. Sure, there's a main Misfits style sound that we all know and we're all familiar with. But there's also the goth sound, there's the Wednesday 13 sound, the psychobilly sound, the horror metal sound. They've all got a different approach. There's lots of bands out there with different subgenres of what we call horror metal. When we talk about horror punk, we, on this podcast, tend to call it horror music because, the other are nothing like blood-sucking zombies from outer space, which in turn are nothing like Crimson Ghost, which in turn are nothing like maybe a psychobilly band or something. So that there are these different subgenres which make up horror music, and it all gets called horror punk. Well, I would really call it a punk band. And
I would contend that the blood-sucking zombies are a psychobilly band.
Yeah, horribly, absolutely.
But so I do want to respond. I want to respond with 3 points.
Okay.
Hold on, dog in the background. So, trying to get my thoughts together on this.
What I would say, just whilst you're gathering your thoughts, I also
before he finishes his speech,
did mention bands come from being a Misfits cover band. We've got Blitzkid, the other, lots of other bands started off emulating Misfits, and then I sort of finished off with, well, horror punk, we like Misfits, right? So if it sounds like Misfits, great. But if it doesn't, if it sounds like something completely different, there are different styles, one of the ones I mentioned earlier, then so be it. Wednesday 13 is classed as horror punk. It doesn't exactly sound like Misfits. So if they sound like Misfits, brilliant. If they don't, brilliant. So my answer to that question is no, but it's a fantastic question.
After all that, he just goes, my answer's no.
So here's the thing. Here's one of the things that we can't deny.
Okay.
The Misfits cease to be exist. I mean, Danzig decided, because Danzig has said numerous times he wants to retire. He's been saying that shit since 2012. If Danzig called it quit, chunked up the deuces, Jerry only lost the rights to the Misfits, went to bed, people would be forced to go, oh, I like this thing called horror punk, but now I don't know the one band that everybody knows. Now I have to get off my ass and actually go look for something. So,
okay, yeah.
In that sense, I would have to say, yeah, the Misfits are actually harming it, because while it may be good music, there may be a lot of people who take influence from it. The plain fact of the matter is that if there's a bunch of dim light bulbs and there's one that's really, really, really bright,
you're going to go to
the dim one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Stefan,
the Misfits are like a gateway drug into horror punk.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what Stefan, off the back of what you said, what Stefan is saying there is that if you had, say, you know, a real horror punk band, like, say, Dr. Hell, playing 20 kilometers, 20 miles down the road, you might not go and watch this relatively unknown horror punk band, which are very punk rock, because you could go and see the Misfits, which everybody's heard of. So that is stopping people going out.
Which will take all your money.
Is that what you were getting to, Stefan, with what you were saying?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with a band cashing in. I think that that's a bullshit thing. I want every single one of these bands to make money. That's why I tell people to buy their merch. That's why I tell them to buy their CDs. I have told people numerous times. I have told Davey Calabrese to his face. I have stolen every single one of your songs online, and then guess what? I loved it enough to buy your patches, your T-shirts, and yours.
And I think we can all say that. I mean, you listen to music on YouTube and this, that, and the other, and you'll be like, "Oh, I'll rip this song, I'll put it on me." And finally, you're like, you know what? This band's good enough for me to actually go out and pay my money and support this band. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? It is generally about support. Yeah, if you go, you're not just going to walk into a library, pick a book at random. Do you know what I mean? You read it, you like it, and all of a sudden you follow the writings of that particular person. It's the same sort of theory. Do you know what I mean? It's like you were saying about some people having a certain style, like with the Wednesday 13, the Misfit style, and this, that, and the other. Some people will hear that and go, well, you know what? I like that sort of sound, or that generated me towards that particular band because they sounded like you said, sounded like somebody who already exists. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's
Look, in the UK scene, there are a lot of Wednesday 13 style horror punk bands
at the minute,
that sound like Wednesday 13.
At the minute, we really have had a big influence of Wednesday 13 style.
But there are also, like, I wouldn't call 69 as a horror punk band because they're not, but there's a lot of horror. But there are a lot of bands that call themselves horror punk that are very much like 69 Eyes with that gothic style. And that's called horror music on this podcast because there are so many. And then you get the real thrashy sounding stuff and the heavy stuff, and it's a metal band, but it's got the whoa. It's about Frankenstein, but it sounds metal.
What Stephen was saying before we watched the video, and he says about, you know what I mean, we all go after the Misfits. If you like your horror punk, you always go back to the three big ones: the Crimson Ghost and Blitzkrieg.
Yes.
And I've noticed that they now have an influence on some of the bands coming up. Some bands might have a Blitzkrieg sound to them. And there are a couple of bands, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, that really do sound like a Rod Usher style.
Yes.
You know what I mean? From the other.
Very much
but then again, like you said about 69 Eyes, the first time I ever heard the other, I thought to myself, you know, they sound like 69 Eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He had that sort of style in his
Same
voice.
Same with Fright as well, very much like that. And they've even had Rikk guest vocals, haven't they?
It's like it's become sort of a Germany style.
Yes, very much that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's
I think to add to what Anatheman was saying was the main issue that I see is that people don't go and listen to the bands that are influencing the bands they're listening to. So say they like, I don't know, like for me, for example, I got into the Misfits because I love AFI. So, you know, I heard that AFI did covers of Misfits into them like that. But a lot of people will just listen to the band that they're listening to, AFI, for example, and never go back further into their influence.
Absolutely. We had a conversation in the kitchen earlier, and we were just talking about Slayer. And I was saying I discovered Slayer when I was about 11 or 12 through Slipknot. Because when I started secondary school in 1999, that was when they were at their peak. So through Slipknot, I did my little bit of research and I discovered Slayer backwards. I discovered these bands back. But like you said, Rick, not everybody does that. So I see what you mean by that.
Not everybody should, though, either. I mean, let's face the facts and everything. And I don't mean to come off sounding like a dick, but a lot of the older bands, they either have made it or they are not really going to make it. I would consider bands like, say, the Crimson Ghost, the other Blitzkid, those are bands that have made it. They can, of course, have more success, but...
And there are bands out there that have been around longer, but never ever got anywhere with it.
They've got that niche little acclaim, haven't they? In their own little tight circuit. But that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And realistically,
right, absolutely. And the examples you gave are the perfect examples of the ones that have made it.
Bands that have made it. Okay, when you're talking about a small band, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite horror punk bands. I'm going to talk about Zombie Cock. Zombie Cock, I think, is amazing. I think some of the vocals that Willie and his team have put forward are fresh. I think they put the punk back into horror punk, and you know what? I see me talking about them. I see Willie talking about them, and I'll just be honest. I see so many fucking posts about the Misfits, and I'm over here just like, dude, who gives a fuck? There's fresh bands with new music.
And there's an element of the old guard need to move aside, don't they? In a nice way. Like bands like Zombie Cock are a brilliant example of underrated because people don't know them because they're so perhaps fixated on Misfits and bands like that they don't do what Rikk said and do that little bit of I wonder what else is out there and find bands like Zombie Cock or other bands of a similar vein. And no, absolutely, and I can see that side of the argument very clearly, actually.
I mean, it goes also, it goes even further and everything. It's just like, look, I do a lot of CD reviews. I mean, if you've been to the HorrorPunksUnite group, you've seen that I have a literal stack of CDs that are pretty much a foot high, and it just got bigger not even a week ago, like quite substantially bigger. And the thing is that if Danzig said a long time ago, he's got an entire horror punk Misfits album. He said that back in 2012, that if they ever got back together, he's going to do that. He's going to tour. He hasn't done it. And I love Danzig, but he hasn't done it. If you put out the CD, you bet your ass I would definitely review it. It'd be out there, but I don't see it happening. And fixating on a band that is playing music that is damn well coming up on being like 30 to 40 years old. I don't really want to do the math, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
No, I agree. And from what you said, Stefan, it's almost like the bigger bands are in dead water because the casual fan who isn't necessarily into horror punk, but they've heard of Misfits, they're going to go anyway.
Yeah.
But is that at detriment to, bands that are putting their life and soul into what it is now? Bands like we said, Zombie Cock, Dr. Hell, Lupin 2, bands like that.
But a good point to prove is that Graves was over here the last couple of weeks ago, and we all went to see Graves and what have you, and Goolsby was playing bass on the tour. So at the end of the show, usual band thing, so-and-so on guitar, so-and-so on... they went through the... You know what I mean?
Carlos
and when they said, and Algal Goolsby on bass, it got about as much a reaction as... Do you know what I mean?
No one knew who Algal Goolsby was, say, 10 people.
Yeah.
And I found that really odd.
Yeah,
because
it is odd because Argyle, in my opinion, is the best thing as far as musicianship for punk. Period.
Me too, Stefan. No, I completely.
That dude is one consistent dude.
Very consistent. Really salt of the earth, decent bloke. Puts textbook, brilliant material after brilliant material, lyrics. Just everything is very, very.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows.
He's a master of marketing as well. Do you know what I mean? He really can sell stuff. Do you know what I mean? He knows what to do. He doesn't oversell certain T-shirts and this, that. He changes designs. He does things like skateboards and you know what I mean, the Nosferatu statue.
Right,
cool little things and that. He really has got his head screwed on.
He comes across like he gives a fuck.
Exactly.
He genuinely cares about what he's doing, and it's telltale. But perhaps with, like I was saying earlier, Misfits doing another tour with Danzig, it's awesome, but it does kind of come across like, can I have some money, please?
Yeah,
is he playing? Is he doing a tour like he said he would do, or is he just playing a couple of really expensive shows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've no
he's turned up
problem.
for a WrestleMania. It's just that you don't do nothing all year long, and you get that one show, make a buck out of it, and off you go again.
Part-timer.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have no problem with them making money. It's just that where's my album? Where's the tour that you said definitely for almost I think literally a decade. I think I could actually do the research and pull up that he's been saying over a decade.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
I mean, maybe it's a case of, you know, he said for the longest time, oh, if he could, and he never expected Jerry to go, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly.
Was it a call my bluff situation?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think that's generally believed that he was going to say no all this time. They're going to continue fighting. It's a drama thing. It creates this, that, and the other. Yeah. And Jerry went, you know.
All right.
I would like to say this real quick.
Yeah.
In terms of Danzig, I've never met him. I respect him. He's a no BS guy. I will never say a bad word against Danzig. However, on the Jerry side of things, when I started HPU, way back in the day, I'm talking about Vampire Freaks, all my interviews were written.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I went and saw Jerry Only. He grabbed my hand, pulled me up on stage, said, dude, I recognize you. Kept snapping his fingers. He's like, fun, right? And I was just like, this dude remembered my fucking name. So, and I know this is a little bit off topic. But this is another interesting thing that maybe you guys would be interested in. Is it possible that part of the reason why people don't like the Jerry Only era is because Des Cadena is on guitar and his guitar riffs are entirely different to the Doyle?
I think it's a contributing factor.
Yeah,
I think it's a contributing factor.
Again, it's just, they have had other singers over there. We always talk about Jerry Graves and Danzig, but they have had other ones here, there, and everywhere and stuff like that.
Like Stefan said, that before the vocals, if you hadn't heard the song before, and before the vocals start, and you know it's either Jerry Graves or Danzig for argument's sake, before the vocals start and you hear the guitar, you've got a good idea what era it is by listening to the guitar.
Yeah.
So because of that different style and that different effect and sound, is that putting people off? Because they go, listen, few chords in, oh, it's this, and it's different to that. And is that a problem? Or is that an issue?
No,
I think that concept kind of goes along with what I was thinking about bringing up, is I think a lot of people aren't open to, so just as much as people get upset that bands will sound exactly like the Misfits, I feel like a lot of people also get upset if they don't sound enough like maybe what they're expecting.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
This isn't horror punk. It sounds nothing like the Misfits.
Exactly. But then they're pissed. It sounds too much like the Misfits. I think that's a major issue that, I mean, not necessarily just horror punk, but music in general. People get pissed off.
I always say, stick to the winning formula, but tweak it and give it a flavour of your own.
But not too much flavor.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people step out of their comfort zone, people go, don't like that, because it isn't what they expected. I mean,
it's the same thing with when Only brought out the cover album. They did the 50s things. People they listen to that and they go, that's not fucking punk and all that kind of shit. It's cover stuff, but people saw that and was like, right, well, this is not the Misfits. So it's like, each their own. I know fucking people when it came out in the fucking 70s down with it. Yeah. But it's like granddad fucking music, isn't it? Because that's what they were thinking with it. It's not the whole fucking punk thing with it. Yeah, so that's where a lot of people have the problem with it.
It's the era they like to project that they lived in the 50s. You know what I mean? With the Marilyn Monroe theme and the Misfits. And
Misfits was a 1950s Marilyn Monroe.
You know what I mean? So everything they do is suggested that they are a B-movie-esque band. So therefore, he is Frankenstein. So therefore, he should have lived in the 1950s. So I thought doing the 1950s album was a really good choice. Sometimes I think it comes down to, doesn't make a difference if Graves sung it, Danzig or Jerry sung it. It's all still the same song, the same lyrics. They're slightly played differently. I think it comes down to how you genuinely like that song to be sung.
Yeah.
Some people, I mean, if it's a Graves song off a Graves album, you hear Danzig sing it or Jerry Only sing it, you go, oh, it's
not quite the same,
because it hasn't just got that ring that the first time you heard it is
exactly, and
it's the original. It's what the rest are a remake.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But off the back of that, you listen to something off, you know, the very first stuff that they recorded in the late 1970s. It sounds very, very different to Friday the 13th EP that they brought out a year or two ago.
Sure.
Very different, yet it's all Misfits. And this goes back to what you were saying about the different styles within Misfits, but also the different styles of what we call horror music, because the early stuff is punk. Some of it's not even about horror, it's punk. Whereas you go to the latter stuff, and it's still horror, but it's not necessarily punk.
No, it's called a punk rock song.
Absolutely. No, exactly, yeah, no.
It's just one of
Bullet isn't a horror song. It's,
no. But
yeah, exactly. So they've all got horror punk, and the early stuff has punk and horror, and the later stuff has the horror and perhaps more of a rock and roll metally sound to it.
But heavier sound to it.
I really want to keep going with what Rick or Treat said, because I actually would like to talk about the actual sound of horror punk, and this is generally my opinion, but my opinion has not changed in over 5 years, and I am very confident in what I say because Argyle Goolsby pretty much mirrors my exact same attitude. So I feel like if this was the Christian religion, Jesus, we are like on the same wavelength. That's what I feel like. So first of all, I definitely think that horror punk does have a sound. I don't believe. I know that there's some, and I'm pretty much you're probably going to get someone in the comments calling me a prick, an asshole, saying that I should die. I'm fine with that. I've heard it all before. I don't believe horror punk is just a scene. I do believe it is a genre. I believe it is also a scene, but I do not think that those two are mutually exclusive with each other.
Okay.
I believe that there is bands there in the scene that are just not horror punk, and I believe that the horror punk genre is a finite genre. I mean, we pretty much the band for Blood-Sucking Zombies have put out that they're a psychobilly band. I believe that there's plenty of psychobilly bands that have. You know what? Let me go with something that I know a little bit better. Stellar Corpses. Emilio Menzi is in the horror punk scene. He wears the devil cloth. He played with several horror punk acts as their touring guitarist. The Stellar Corpses are a psychobilly band, and Dusty says that. Dusty Graves says that. Yet, I posed a question on the group. Name your top 5 most important horror punk bands, and a lot of people said Stellar Corpses. And the craziest thing is that some people were just like, and by the way, they are horror punk, and I'm like, okay, but you're like going against how the band labels them, and they generally fit in, and that's fine. That's fine. And at the end of the day, labels don't matter as much, but we do have to recognize that at some point, a band, despite us liking them, despite them being in the scene, that does not immediately give them the mantle of horror punk. I don't make the rules. None of us here make the rules.
Absolutely.
It's the black and white thing. But
so I think
you can be a gray band. You can be a gray band. That's fine. You don't have to be a horror punk band and every single one of your songs be horror punk. It's like in the goth.
Yeah, absolutely, Stefan. Absolutely.
The goth scene is something I know very well. It's part of why it's a part of my channel.
Okay.
And they say things like, well, no one listens to all just goth music, and no, that's true. The way you define yourself as a goth is not based on how you dress, not by liking creepy fucking shit, but by predominantly listening to goth music. I feel the same is with horror music. If you're a band, predominance of your music is horror punk. It doesn't matter if you're, say, 40% isn't. Who cares? Mostly you're a horror punk band, and that's how I
agree. And with Rick's example of AFI, some of their stuff to me resonates horror punk more than a lot of the bands we've already spoken about. But if you listen to, say, 2007 AFI, it couldn't be anything further.
Yeah.
So bands change, and look at Christian Death. I mean, their first album, if you didn't know it was Christian Death, that's yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Hands down, when Roz was with their It's Death Rock, eventually it moved to experimental, sometimes industrial sound. Yeah. And you know, but that's another thing that is an issue within our, not even just our scene, but any darkly inclined scene. My favorite goth band is Specimen. Guess what? I piss off people all the time by saying, actually, guys, Specimen isn't actually a goth band. And they go, what the fuck? And I'm like, their first album's goth, their second album isn't, their third album, which I love, is questionable at best.
Yeah.
That makes only goth.
Dark Funeral are the same. They're considered a black metal band. Yet the first album was death metal, and then they did a couple of black metal albums. Everything since then has pretty much been heavy punk rock with satanic undertones. Yeah, they're labelled as a black metal band. You don't have to all stick to the same
Clash.
The Clash.
Oh, this great English punk rock band. Well, no, not really. You heard fucking Rock the Casbah. Does that sound like a fucking punk rock song to you? Do you know what I mean? They've got
satanic undertones.
People call Blondie punk rock, but to me that doesn't sound like Annie Noelle. Do you know what I mean? So where do you draw the punk undertones?
Blondie's part of the scene, but not part of the genre.
Yeah, absolutely, completely do. Absolutely.
I mean, she was there.
I think that the entire concept, like, just makes me wonder how are we gonna how do I mean, obviously there's a definition of what horror punk is, but how broad do you stretch that, and does the topic of the music have to be horror for it to be horror punk? Does the music itself have to sound a certain way to be horror punk?
If they've got a horror punk, if they've got a horror punk band name but don't sing about horror punk,
I've had an argument with someone that were convinced that Generation Graveyard were a horror punk band, and I was like, well, no, all you need to do is have two things, and it's called ears.
Yeah,
you know, well, potentially a brain. They're not a horror punk band.
It's like I was saying to you before, that one of the songs that I really believe that is one of the first horror punk rock songs, because we had the Damned, we had like Screaming Lord Such, we went through all these early
Alice Cooper and
everything. Then you had a horror sound and a horror theme.
It might be one song. It wouldn't be your whole shtick.
When the Ramones did Chainsaw, and they sung a punk rock song about
I would agree.
Horror band.
Chainsaw has everything that most people will define a horror punk song. It has backing vocals, it has the same tone, it has subject matter. It's got the
song. I maintain that is the catalyst. That's the
nexus.
All of a sudden it was like, we could sing a horror stuff over a punk rock beat. And therefore, after that, you got the Misfits. Months later? Do you know what I mean? Under a year.
But not
later.
all of Misfits was horror related. You know, the film Misfits they named himself after isn't a horror film. You got Bullet, there's a JFK assassination. There's plenty of other examples. I can't think off the top of my head, but
Who Killed Marilyn?
Was a homage to a couple of decades before, 50s, early 60s. Paid homage to the silver screen in Americana, which just so happened to be. Predominantly horror, but not all horror. And
I would like to kind of answer Rick's question. Does horror punk always have to be about horror? And I would like to answer it with something that early Danzig said about his work in the Misfits, in which he said all his music. The interviewer pretty much said, and if you can, if anyone who's going to be in the comment section or you guys can tell me the article, cool. I've been trying to find it again, and he did so many that's hard to find. But the interviewer said, like, hey, so you like horror movies today? He's like, yeah. He's kind of like annoyed. He's like, he's annoyed. And then the guy says, oh, well, so like, is all your music horror related? And he stopped. He says, no, it's about being taboo. You know,
taboo, did you say?
Yeah, taboo,
yeah.
I don't think it's horror related, but I do feel like taboo is part of it. Like, not every song has to be about a movie, basically.
Yeah.
But
sooner or later you're going to run out of movies. Do you know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
I know
force with that as well, isn't there? Like, yeah, like Stefan said, yeah.
I mean, Hollywood Babylon is about a taboo subject. Hollywood Babylon, I think a lot of people say, oh, that's a horror punk song. It's not about a movie. It's not about serial killers. It's about the taboo subject that pretty much everybody in Hollywood is a freaking horror. Yeah. And that's how.
There's so many underlying tones to what they were talking about. They love their conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you said, it's taboo. Do you know what I mean? You bring up the JFK shooting. You say this, that, and the other, especially back when that was out, sort of thing. It was,
absolutely. When did JFK die? 60s. So that came out late 70s, early 80s. So it wasn't that long removed from.
Very early 80s.
It was still, early 80s. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, everyone loves a good conspiracy. Do you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Like you said, it's a taboo subject, and to have a cover as bold as the cover, with the famous picture of JFK and the blood and that on it, clearly added to the picture with that. Sticking out in red, where
it paints a picture and it paints a scene of what they were all about as a punk band who paid homage to the silver screen, which just so happened to be a lot about horror.
Yeah, because end of the day, a punk band, has always been about anarchy and about this, that, and the other. And well, back in the 70s, early 80s, that was what they were expressing. So with rap music, you had the whole weird held down element to it.
Absolutely.
They had a voice.
Yes, the voice of the underdog.
The voice of the underdog. Over here, we'd get songs about Margaret Thatcher and this, that, and the other, and that was taboo.
That was our rebellion.
Yeah, that was our rebellion. So to come out and say about conspiracy theories and this, that, and the other, again, is just sticking to the rules of punk rock sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? They say things that you shouldn't really say. Do you know what I mean? And to break the mold a little bit, do you know what I mean?
Well, that's punk, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, that brings us right back to your question to start off, is that people are making bands and not breaking the mold because they still want to sound like the Misfits.
Yeah.
And some of these people weren't even alive when that particular song or style they're trying to cover wasn't even, they weren't alive when that was out. It's all it's like someone's clicked on Wikipedia and go, what do I need to know about horror punk to become horror punk?
That Wikipedia page is trash.
I'm horror punk. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? When, like you said, you delve under it, and there are fucking brilliant bands out there. Do you know what I mean? So many bands. Do you know what I mean? There are some horror bands that don't wear makeup, that don't wear face paint. And you look at them as you go, they don't look horror at all.
Some of them used to, and now they're just like everyday guy now.
Yeah, they might be like, oh, okay, I'm bored with the horror punk scene. But I still want to play music, and they move on, and they just. It's one of them.
I think a good example of that. I feel like I was listening to the new Crypt Keeper 5 album, and I don't think it really maybe sound-wise, but topic-wise, it doesn't seem like it's horror punk anymore. And I know that they had some stuff before that was. I mean, I'm not an expert on their stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, they're still considered like a really important horror punk band, or at least a really important band in the scene.
Same with Calabrese.
Calabrese is a perfect analogy.
Their last two albums.
Mm-hmm.
Their last album, not horror punk at all, and their last one, you can definitely tell that they're departing from it because it's barely there. Good work. But see, here's the thing. I don't feel like those two albums, which one I would consider more gray material, and the last one just not. I believe a predominance of their work and the fact that they still play a lot of their old songs. It's still a punk act. I think that the same applies with Crypt Keeper 5. I think, but I think that goes back to my original thing that I said. There's
the big bad. Yeah, the big bad.
The Crypt Keeper 5 and Calabrese, despite where their current works are or are not, still
they're primarily horror punk.
Yeah,
it's like they tried the horror punk scene, and they gave it their all, and to a certain degree, it's not a genre that's mass high. So you get so far up the ladder, and you kind of stuck there.
I don't know if it's that. I think us as people, we've all got lots of different things that we like. And I was speaking to Jamie Anderson from the band Sister, and I was talking to him about how they used to be like a bubblegum glam band, and how they sound really heavy and wear like corpse paint. And he said, look, if you're still playing the same shit that you were playing 10, 15, 20 years ago, you've got a bit of a problem. Every band needs to age and to evolve and to bring different sides of your personality out. I like 70s funk and 80s pop.
If you didn't know or ever heard of the band Ghost, and I went, check these dudes out, showed you a picture, and there's the dude there with his top hat.
You think you'd be death metal or something, wouldn't you?
No, and they're called Ghost. Yeah. And they've got the skull face.
Actually, it's Blue Oyster Cult on acid.
You've never heard any of their music, but you're a horror band, you're a horror fan, sorry, and I say, oh, you've seen this band, you'd go, fucking hell, they look pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
They look like a horror band, but are nothing along that line sort of thing.
No, absolutely. I think we've all got different. Like Alice Cooper did that Thingy and Lace album. It sounded nothing like what he did before. Like, you know, the Rasmus have done a Scar album. Bad example, but we've all got different aspects of our personalities. If I'm not a musician, I can't sing, but if I was, I would do horror punk. But I'd also really like to do a 70s funk album. And I think it's the same with Calabrese. They've got all these things that they want to do as adults and progressing through life. We've done this, we've done that. But man, we really like this. Let's give that a go, because this is a part of us as well.
But in the genre horror punk, that's been around a while, and they have sung generally about 90% of songs about 90% of horror movies. Even though off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single band or anybody that's ever done a song about Child's Play or Chucky.
Off the top of my head,
right? But there's only so many movies, there's only so many songs that you can... How many bands have got songs of the same title as another horror band?
Yeah.
But they're singing about the same film, just wrote in their own way.
Dozens.
Sooner or later, you're going to get to the point and you're going to be scratching your head going,
what else can we do?
What can I write a song about, horror-wise, that's not been done, or a movie that's not been done, or you're going to hit a wall.
Yeah.
And is that where the bands go, it's getting really hard to try and write one particular style and base a song around a movie I just watched. I've got music in me, I've got songs in me that are not horror, so they do that instead.
Absolutely, and I don't think it's a conscious effort to think like that. When I spoke to Yikri from 69 Eyes, the transition from glam to the goth sound wasn't a conscious effort. It was just, well, I kind of fancy doing this.
Just happened.
I kind of like that. And over the course of it just happened. He did the goth voice as a joke in the recording studio, and they really liked it. You know, he said, let's incorporate a little bit of that. And it just naturally, they didn't sit down and have a board meeting and go, right, we're not going to do this anymore, we're going to do that. It just naturally flowed, just naturally progressed. The same as all the bands we've spoken about. You listen to that first album, very rarely does it sound like the most up-to-date one, obviously. Yeah. Misfits was what he said, very.
Earth AD sounds nothing like Famous Monsters.
No.
Nothing at all.
No, nothing like
it. I mean?
Nothing like it.
And I think it comes down to...
And that's a good thing, though, because Michael Graves did bring in his own flair. I mean, the thing about it is that, and this actually goes back to the original question, and that is, you know, if you're trying to sound exactly like the Misfits, you'll probably fucking succeed, and that's the worst thing you can possibly do for yourself is succeed.
Yeah, isn't there enough other bands?
The two bands, especially in your guys' scene over there in Europe, Crimson Ghost and the other, they started off as Misfits cover band.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I can't think off the top of my head of listening to the other do a Misfits song, and I'm fucking okay with that.
Sometimes
I'm okay with hearing them.
No, you're right. Yeah. On album-wise, no, very, very true, Stefan. But I think, again, it's that part of evolving. When they might have been 17, 18 years old, they wanted to emulate the Misfits and be a Misfits covers band. By the time they're 21, actually, we can play, and we've got so many like-minded ideas that we could do, start recording their own songs. And you evolve as an adult and you grow, and now the other's new album sounds very little like their first album, again, because change through time. You evolve.
Yeah.
When you're a 30-year-old man, you're very different to when you're a 20-year-old man. I can only assume you're very different to when you're
40. I mean, I am the same age as the Misfits, if you want to work it out that way. You know what I mean? 77 to now.
Yeah.
40 years.
Think about it this way. Think about it this way. If the Misfits stop being a band,
yes,
completely, just stop.
Like you said, hypothetically, it all disappear tomorrow.
It's going to happen sooner or later. I'm actually going to say it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Danzig has been saying for the longest time he wants to hang things up. I think the only reason why he's probably still sticking around is because he doesn't want Jerry to carry on his torch while he's doing whatever, not doing music.
Okay.
I feel like Danzig feels, and I guess we'll never know until we interview him and get cussed out. I feel like Danzig will stay around as long as Jerry will. And and by the way, I'm not trying to make Danzig sound like a dick. I just, if I got asked that question, I've been like pissed the fuck off. Like, I'm done with it.
The magazine I work for, Devolution Magazine, interviewed Danzig last year. Absolutely lovely guy. I think there are a couple of things he said.
I've heard
talk about that, but sound like.
Talk about it.
If you've been doing music for about like 40 years and you got asked the same fucking questions about a band you did when you were a kid, you'd just be like, oh my god, suck a dick and move on. Like we're done with this shit. And I agree. You know, when I interviewed Doyle, I had to talk to his manager first, and one of the first things I did, I looked her dead in the face and said, "Look,
don't talk about wrestling."
Yeah. So I said, which by the way, it was really weird because I had to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about his kids. Like,
no,
would do that. Not Monster would do that. But I said, like, look, I don't give a shit about the Misfits. I care about what he's doing right now.
Absolutely. No, Stefan, exactly. Absolutely.
But it goes back to if there's no Misfits, they hang it up. They hang up. The only way you're going to be able to see a live Misfits sound is from knockoff Misfit bands. And you know what the thing about those are? They're a dime a dozen. They don't get paid. It's not profitable. Honestly, it's not fun for most bands. Most of the bands have told me, and that's part of the reason why bands like the Crimson Ghost and the other have moved on. What you would have then is even fewer of those bands. I feel like you would have fewer of those bands. It would open it up because the Misfits aren't around, and that would be a good thing. Honestly, for a lot of metal listeners, it'd be probably good if fucking Metallica hanged it up, too.
Yeah, no, that was the example that I alluded to earlier, Stefan. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's the old guard taking the spotlight away from somebody that really, really gives a fuck and puts everything into it.
Yeah.
Bands like Lupative, Army of Walking Corpses, Zombie Cock, there are plenty of other examples I can't think off the top of my head. Hellgreaser. If they didn't have that glass ceiling of the overlooming Misfits taking the casual fans' attention, would they not have a bigger platform then?
I think
say, well, this is us, and then that would then launch them. And all these tenor-bug Misfits-sounding bands, if Misfits disappeared, that might give them. A lot of them would disappear, but a lot of them might get a kick up the arsehole that they need, and then become the next Crimson Ghost, the next Blitzkid, if you will.
So, I was trying to hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I wonder if, that were to happen, the Misfits drop off the face of the earth, and, subsequently all their cover bands do too, would we have more cover bands of bands like Blitzkid, because then they'd be the new Misfits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that nowadays the bands that are influenced by the other Crimson Ghost, Blitzkid, and what have you, they're going to be the covers we soon hear. So when a band release an album, all of a sudden you've not got a Digger Blur Bones cover on there. You've got a
Starlight Decay cover.
Yeah, a Cold Skin
cover. Yeah.
Patchwork Fuckface. And you go, holy shit, they covered fucking that.
Like when we went
where everyone covers a Misfits song, you go, well done, you.
But when we did the Belfast episode a couple of years ago, So Long to the Seance did a cover of, was it Starlight Decay or something like that, or Mary in the Storm, I can't remember what it was, but probably to impress Goresby, to be fair, because he was headlining. But at the same time, but at the same time, like, I don't think it's a bad thing if the next up and coming band might do one Crimson Ghost cover. Why not? Yeah. But it's when they start to emulate the band completely, like they have been with Misfits, then it's sticking to the winning formula is a good thing, but you're not flogging a dead horse, and when does it not become stale anymore?
Yeah.
Can we also be honest with the fact that even though we know these bands, as much as we love the Crimson Ghosts, as much as we love Blitzkid, there's a damn good chance someone's going to pick up a CD, and if they picked up Zombie Cock, they actually did do a cover of I'm a Zombie for their first album. And there's a damn good chance that because our genre is just so unknown, that they're going to be like, wow, I really love Zombie Cock's song, I Am a Zombie. And somebody's go, it's actually a cover. What? I never knew. And I think that's going to happen a lot. Mm-hmm. I really think that's going to happen a lot. I think
it will, but Stefan, does that not then open the platform for their friend to say, actually, that's a cover, and they go, oh shit, I didn't know that. Who sang it? And they go, oh, it's so and so. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll research this band. So can that not then be a gateway? Like, you know, you get a band's like what Crimson Ghost did with Walking Corpses. You know, it opens gateways for them to find it.
A friend of mine back in the day listened to Metallica, and is it Garage Inc. where they did the cover album?
Yes.
And they did Last Caress. Was it Last Caress in Green Hell on there? Blah blah blah. Yes. But this is just saying as it is. And then he discovered the Misfits from there. And then it was a case of like, but he listened to Green Hell and like the cover, but the only at the time what he found, he didn't find the Danzig cover. He ended up finding fucking Famous Monsters. And then he listened to that from there. It's weird the way it fucking works with sometimes. It matters like it's the person in fucking general. If they want to fucking like get into a band and research it, because it's like with all of us in this fucking chat here are so fucking passionate about this whole fucking, you know, the scene, genre, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're that fucking passionate about it. Any band somebody says we're going to listen to, we'll fucking go research and check it out, because we always do.
But that's not the average guy in the street.
But that's say casual fans won't do that, if you know what I mean. And it's like I remember the fucking first time I ever came across any kind of these bands. I was like, fuck me. And then when I realised some bands were like close to each other, like especially in like Europe, you had like the Ghost, the other Spook, the Fright, and all that kind of stuff. And I realised they're all so close with each other. I was like, fuck me, this is an actual thing. So like my whole first. With everything that I got first into was all the European side. I didn't know anything about the States at first, and then it was it's in different fucking parts everywhere. The UK has got fucking nothing. It's got a few fucking bands, but there's no real like fucking scene or anything. It's us three dickheads and a few other people, and then you've got like. In Germany, there's fucking many bands over there, and they're fucking awesome. And the States have got all that, so it's all fucking split up, and it's crazy to fucking think how that.
It's part of the reason why I say horror punk is not just a scene, because what happens in my scene, you might not ever actually hear about it. There's actually a damn good chance you could die and never hear about it. That's why I detest the idea of it's just a scene. Well, first of all, when it's a scene, who makes the fucking rules? Me?
Yeah, exactly.
Who makes the rules? There's going to be some overlord dickhead who makes the rules, and unfortunately, he can collapse it with his shitty attitude. Yeah. And I'm not gonna name names, but in the north, that kind of happened.
Right in the story.
Yeah. I mean, he who writes the story determines the rules. In a way, Misfits are like the 1966 Batman. Even if you weren't alive when you're Mosson's 4 years old, you're still aware of that, of the 66 Batman. Yes. And a lot of us, people of my age, will go, that's my Batman. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? To me, no matter
I grew up with 1966 watching the reruns in
no matter what happens, that is Batman. Yeah. Are the Misfits the 60s Batman of what we know as horror?
Yes, the equivalent.
I think that's a good metaphor.
We'll refer back to that and go, oh, it's not as good as my personal favourite, Adam West. And nothing's ever going to be as good, even though you know some stuff actually
probably is better. There's a difference.
Nicholson,
There's
by the way.
the best one and your favourite one.
Yeah.
And sometimes people get those mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really do think that, and by the way, on your guys' like, I guess this would be a page / YouTube. That's where this is probably going to end up. I've actually slightly changed my tune since then, because when I first posed the question, I said I'm neutral, 100% neutral. Now
Yes,
I'm
I remember.
actually,
Yeah, I remember.
Just,
we had. Yeah.
It's an open question.
Yeah.
You guys argue amongst yourself. I just asked it. Yeah.
But now I am actually more leaning to the answer being yes, and it's because I don't like the music that I predominantly listen to. I don't like saying, "Oh, I really like horror punk," and somebody goes Misfits, and I'm just like, "Thank you."
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and I say that even though I'm wearing a Misfit shirt. Which, by the way, I'm wearing this for a purpose. I bought this at Walmart. I bought this at Walmart for $7. It's a good shirt, and of course I
like
wear it with pride. But I mean, I did my own thing with it. But
right,
it's the simple fact that I'm tired of the minute. Okay, look, Doyle has his solo project. It is not horror punk. It is
it's
horror themed metal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we call it horror music. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, why is it that Doyle has to constantly get associated with the Misfits when his music is damn good all on its own? Why is it that Alex is so
unknown? It's the familiarity, though, Stefan. It's like you said earlier. It's appealing to the casual fan who, unlike us, they might have heard of Misfits and go, "Oh, he's the muscly one from Misfits."
Yeah.
So it's that familiarity, that marketing to the casual fan, because the hardcore guys like us are going to go anyway. The casual fan needs to have that little bit of extra.
We shouldn't need to see playing and fucking
sure.
It's a business. It's a business.
No, it is a business. But I also have a thing. Are you going to keep in a band? Imagine we're all in a band. Are we going to be in a band long if we're miserable, or are we going to do it if we're enjoying ourselves?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you from talking to him, playing Misfits songs.
Doyle, sorry.
Misfits. We're talking about Doyle.
Yeah.
Who I got to. I'm just gonna say this. Everybody said he was a monster dick. I met him. He was outrageously nice to me.
Yeah.
Always really liked the name I use for my channel. He's just a nice guy. Really surprising.
No,
but he did not want to be. He didn't want to talk about the Misfits. He's tired of us talking about. He wanted to focus on his new stuff. Danzig has said before he's tired of talking about the Misfits. He's out interviewers, so has Doyle. And what they're doing right now, they're finding fun because they're in a nostalgia trip.
Absolutely. And that's what it is.
It's going to wear away.
Yeah.
And that's going to be that. And
it's
the nostalgia trip that we're all experiencing, that's great. But the second the nostalgia wears off, so does the Misfits. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be for the scene because, I hear things as like, oh, well, what if the Blitz Kid became the Misfits where everybody knew it as the Misfits? Fucking great. Yeah. I think they deserve it because Blitz Kid also, their music evolved, which by the way, I've said numerous times, Blitz Kid's better than the Misfits. And you can disagree with me.
No, Stefan, actually, I'm glad you said that because I did my own countdown of my top 30 horror punk bands. Blitzkid was actually number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I have a video where we're doing. I'm doing a lot of work on it. It's called the top 5 most important horror punk bands. It's not how well the fans received them. It's not how much money they made. It's
Awesome.
literally
How influential they were to the scene, or to the genre.
Yeah, it's about if one of these bands didn't exist, would the
How
culture
detrimental would that be?
Yeah, and honestly, a little bit of a spoiler alert. Misfits comes in second, Blitzkid comes in number one.
I agree.
There was a lot of Misfits. There was a lot of horror punk bands in the early '80s. Guess what? You don't fucking hear about them.
I genuinely believe if you didn't have Blitzkid, the reason why Blitzkid, the other in the Crimson Ghost, are held so high, is they thrived in a time where the other bands sort of dropped down. And if it wasn't for them three bands, would there be a scene now? Did they fill that gap in between the Misfits and to what we got now?
Yes, absolutely. And no, I think Blitzkid are the #1 horror punk band of all time, in my personal opinion. Or at least they're my favourite anyway. So perhaps I'm slightly biased, and when I was doing a comparative critical analysis of everything, perhaps I was slightly swayed to look at the positives more than the negatives.
You were doing what?
I will argue that Blitzkid is the most important based off of this and this alone. Yeah, there's a lot of bands that are trying to sound like Blitzkid. Here's the great thing. Blitzkid is a horror punk band, but they do not necessarily sound like the Misfits. The bands that do sound like the Misfits, people aren't really giving attention to. The bands that are trying to sound like Blitzkid are actually trying to sound different than Blitzkid. A lot of them are. Zombie Cock is one of those bands that plays them over and over. You cannot play them next to any Blitzkid song and say, hey, they sound exactly like them. If you did, I'd be like, you don't have ears.
Same thing with Shadow, Windhawk, and the Morticians. Like, he's definitely influenced by Blitzkid, and I mean, now that he's working with Goolsby, and I spoke with him in my interview, that kind of helps him a little bit, but it's not like his overarching influence, having written or having toured with him and all that. But you know, they have similar sounds, and I've heard it from people like, oh, he just sounds like he's ripping off Blitzkid. But in my opinion, his stuff. Yeah, his sound, his doesn't sound anything.
He's a very different product. When I'm in the mood to listen to Shadow Windhawk, I'm not in the same frame of mind of when I want to stick on a bit of Blitzkid. I don't really. There's a synergy, but I wouldn't say that he's that similar, really, at all. He is more that gothic sound that we were talking about earlier.
When I hung around
that deep, foreboding, looming vocals, you know, that rich voice, whereas Blitzkid has got a different energy to it. It's a simple energy, but it's very different.
Yeah.
And that's because now when I hung around Shadow, aka Noah, aka Windhawk, aka the new guy. When I got to hang out with him, because I got to live in his house for a short bit, but I got to know him a little bit better. And you know, one of the things that I can say is that as far as vocals is concerned, and if he watches this video, he could correct me, but I'd say his biggest vocal influence is probably Peter Steele.
Oh, definitely.
I can see that totally.
So I mean,
and Stefan, that whole type of horror metal that I was talking about, I call it the gothic style, but it's that 69 Eyes sound, the fright, that deep baritone vocal.
Kind of a gothic metal, yeah.
It all goes back to Pete Steele, because he is that whole voice, that baritone.
Long Fright actually said
Pete Steele.
His biggest influence was Pete Steele.
Yeah. And it's the same. And I've not spoken to Noah about this, but I very much imagine that that's a big influence, because that deep, looming baritone.
He's got the tattoo on his arm, so that's got to mean something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, that's my opinion. Like I said, I mean, you heard before. I actually got a death threat over just using the question, which is ridiculous.
Using a question.
Yeah. But, no. Believe it or not, because I've been doing this a long time. I do have my opinions on certain things. I'm not going to try to be humble and be like, oh, it's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
I think my opinions are
the fact that you stuck to your guns and stuck to your opinion has made this conversation a lot a lot more interesting because we've had a lot more to talk about. Like the last thing we ever want is for someone to come on and just say the same as what we're saying. You've opened up so many different questions and so many different avenues of conversation with what you said, Stefan. You know, I'd like to thank you for that. I mean, it's a really good conversation to have, and it's a healthy debate to have.
Of course, the thing about me, and this is just me as a person, you'll never get the fake Anatheman. You'll never get the fake Stefan. You'll always get someone who's real, and it
absolutely.
And because the other thing is, like, you can absolutely 100% disagree with everything that comes out of my mouth and us still be friends. I have that magic ability.
I'm not just saying what's the way I see
Me too. What the fuck?
Absolutely. The argument, I see what you're saying, and I think you're correct, but what I think is it's more like this. Mm-hmm. So, what you're saying is correct, but I think this is more correct. So I see everyone's point of view, and if you're going to have a debate with someone, unless you can appreciate and understand the other person's side of it, you can't have a proper discussion. So we've really had a decent conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So, because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, there is one answer, one of two answers. Have they ruined it? Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Now, if we all agreed on one answer, for argument's sake, yes, they've ruined it. And we come on and we're like, right, have they ruined it? And we all go,
they have.
Yeah,
well, that'd be a boring podcast, wouldn't it?
Well, cheers for that. See you later.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It really did have one question. Just had what? How long have we been talking? Good hour.
Probably about an hour.
Ooh, hour and 5 minutes.
Question.
How long goes?
Question.
Hour and 5 minutes.
Hour and 5 minutes.
Let's keep it going. And
question.
Too right. I'm down with that.
Yes or no question. We managed to have a fucking good conversation.
Absolutely.
And within that conversation, we had other questions, which give us other answers, which led to other questions.
Yes.
On something that is just a yes or no answer.
And it's given us a kick up the backside because conversations we were going to have on future podcasts that were meant to have maybe been filmed a year ago, we've not done. That's now influenced us to actually, well, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like.
We got a drunk idea and then we go, what did we say we did?
Yeah, what did we say? We'll do that another time.
Did you write it down? No, I didn't write it down.
Let me share a slightly funny story with you guys. So, and it goes actually to getting death threats. When I first said, no, actually horror punk is also a genre, oh my god, the scene, especially like 2013, they pretty much crawled up my ass, died, resurrected themselves in my ass, and then decided to try to tear me a new one. It was
sounds like a fun night.
Yeah, right? But no, so here's the thing. So I kept to my guns. I discussed it with a lot of big people who I don't want to name call because I don't. If they choose to be in the conversation, they will choose to be in the conversation. I'm not going to drag them into it. But so when there was that ugly split between Silent Horror and Argyle Goolsby,
yes,
he posted a long thing on his page.
Yes, yes.
And I might be remembering this a little wrong, but it's from there that he said these words: horror punk genre. Guys, I was so happy when he said that. I jumped out of my bed. The computer flew off. Like, cameras flew off.
But it is a genre.
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, look. We just said Argyle. We just said Blitzkid, and Argyle is a big part of Blitzkid. Is pretty much like he's like horror punk Jesus. He's like the best band. If he says horror punk is the genre, which also Shadow Windhawk has too, I think that's just fucking gospel. I mean,
well, the thing is with Goolsby knows with him the amount of touring that he does in the States and over here in Europe, he's got the taste of both. Because everything that we know is different to what you guys know, like you said before. So it's like you've got your side with like it's a case of like the stuff that's going off over there that the bands that you don't know, it's the same thing over here. Blah blah blah. But with Goolsby, the guy that he is able to come over and do both. And it's a case of like he sees fucking everything with it. He does the gigs over here, and he's in Germany, and he's been fucking Moscow and all sorts of places.
He knows what he's doing.
And like I said at the beginning, he
knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, gives a fuck about it. So it's a case of like...
It's calculated.
So like, with everything, so when he says it's fucking the whole genre thing, he knows exactly what he's saying with it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He's a very, very clever guy and has a really good business acumen about him and knows... Yeah, he just... Every time I've met the dude, he has been nothing but nice. I first met him in Sweden about 8 years ago. I took my now wife, but back then I took her for a 30th birthday party. And we met him and stuff. And still to this day, 2-3 weeks ago,
he still talks about it, doesn't he?
He still brings up Sweden from all them times ago. And it's like, he's one of the only person I know that actually, apart from my mum, calls me Jason.
Yeah, like when we were in the kitchen earlier, we were talking just about people in general. And we said about Steve, he's...
Who?
Beeline and give you a hug.
He's genuine.
I wear an actual symbol of how great of a person he is. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the tattoo that he designed for me, but I wear it on me, and I messaged him. I said, look, I love Blitzkid. Blitzkid was actually the horror punk. Actually, small side story. Misfits never got me into horror punk. I listened to the Misfits, never gave a shit about horror punk. It was only when one of my friends introduced me to Blitzkid that I gave a shit. And then
what album was it, Stefan? What Blitzkid was it that got you into horror?
The song "Hills Have Eyes."
Oh yeah.
That was the first song I ever heard. And yeah, it was my gateway. And then the next thing I did was I looked up horror punk, and then I saw the other. So I've been very blessed to know that there is a European and American side, and to actually focus on both. Like I know Hellgreaser, I know Dr. Hell. I wear one of his shirts. I have his CD. So, but no, I messaged him. I said, look, Blitzkid meant so much to me. I was at your final show. I will support whatever you do. I will pay you money because I know you are a tattoo artist.
Yes.
Can you design me a tattoo that in your art? Here, I want a Nosferatu. I want you to do it your way. You have free reign. I will put it on my body. It took him about 5 months to do it. He got back with me. He said, look, I'm not charging you. I apologize for it taking so long, which I was just like, dude, no, I'm not going to. No, I don't need your apology. But he put it up there, and one of the first couple of comments was, oh, I like this. I'm going to get it tattooed on my body. And that immediately was like, oh, I'm not getting it then. Because, I mean, that was supposed to be mine.
That's yours. That belongs to you.
And Argyle actually messaged each and every one of those guys and said, no. If I see that on your body, that's going to be upsetting to me.
I think I remember seeing that. Was that a few years ago? I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Because I got on my leg.
Do you remember this happening then, guys?
Yeah. Yes. Fuck me. I remember that. Yeah. And it was a case of like. All that, it's like, yeah, I'm getting that, blah blah blah, and that kind of stuff. And I remember Goolsby commenting saying, "No, it's one of a kind piece."
Yeah, and that's the kind of person he is. You know, I have and it's a little bit dated because I had a time where HQ shut down, HorrorPunksUnite shut down for about a year or so. But I do have an interview. I'm trying to mix it together. It was. Shit, I think it's going to be like 12 minutes or something like that, and he kind of try to pour out and get excitement for the video, but he actually does talk about things about Blitzkid that he's never said before.
Awesome.
Right.
It's things that I've never heard before too, and I was generally excited. And so, and it's one of those things where it's like he didn't decide he was going to save that for his own book, or he wasn't saving that for a DVD, or he wasn't saving it for Loudwire. He gave it to me. I mean, anyone who is his fan, he's willing to give something to, because he genuinely does care about us.
Yeah.
And that's why fans genuinely care about him.
Because he gives a fuck.
Exactly.
And that's why I think Blitzkid, because he's a part of Blitzkid, and I would also like to say that TV Monstrosity was also really nice to me during the 2012 final tour.
Okay, cool.
Because I feel absolutely shitty that we've been saying Argyle and Blitzkid. But
but he isn't Blitzkid. Yeah, no, Blitzkid. It was the unit, wasn't it, of those people? Like, absolutely, he was. Yeah, he's a fundamental factor. But
and maybe that's why Blitzkid is actually so much better than the Misfits, because you had two different voices, well, very similar, and being able to harmonize with each other.
Yeah.
If you hear one's definitely deeper, one's a little bit more higher pitched.
Yeah.
And you know that's created many different sounds.
And the voices accompanied the style of the song they were in. It's like if they wrote a song that was fast, they could say, right, you sing it.
Yeah, TV.
Right, I sing it.
Or if it's going to be a slow foreboding comic one, maybe Goolsby would
you could say, right, now this is one for you. I wrote it, but this is one for you. I think your voice is going to work on this.
Yeah.
So I think that the two of them definitely did, because we always, like we said, you bring up Blitzkid and everyone does Goolsby.
Yeah, people forget
TV
Tracy.
He's like that silent partner in a business that could never happen unless he was there, sort of thing.
Oh God!
If you go through the list,
well, Blitzkid, Argyle was not originally in Blitzkid. Argyle joined Blitzkid. So that's something that's like I feel like it needs to be brought, but and Blitzkid also started off as more like a skater punk band.
What was the first album called?
I Can't Skate.
Songs for the aesthetically.
That song's on.
I Can't Skate's on it, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I know the one you mean.
That's one of the songs.
For the...
I can't remember. I know what you mean. Very skatey.
Yeah, so just a skater punk.
But like I said earlier,
Hollywood Squares, Rick got the answer.
That you want to get through, and sometimes you evolve and change, and you just want to do a different side of your personality.
Yeah.
Case in point here with Blitzkid and the skater style, and then you listen to their last album that they did. It's very alike to the Raving Midnight. And there were some songs that he wrote for that album that didn't make it, that was on Saturnalia the Accursed, or the EPs that became that album. But there's that progression. I don't think Tracy sang a single song on the last album, did he? Or am I wrong?
No, TB, he did backing vocals. But he did not. He was not the main vocal of
on the last album. Yeah, that was my understanding.
On Operational, no.
No, that's Operational. Thank you. That's the one. Yeah. Right. Do we have anything else before we sound off? Was there anything either Rick or Stefan wanted to get off their chest, ask another question, or just comment on something else anybody else has said?
I think that I guess we should end this whole thing, or when we do, just say like praise be to Goolsby with the amount that we were just talking to him right now.
Yeah.
I feel
He's had an ass kiss, and we're not going to talk
Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a shirt that's waiting to happen, and one of us would definitely need to get him on camera, present with one of the shirts. Like, we'd have to keep it a secret. Just kind of have him like a halo above his head, but like glowing red or something.
Do you have a make talk about your Lord and Savior, Argyle Goolsby?
I mean, I would love to see how he would react, considering he's so. And then we'll also
he's
a normal person, isn't he?
That's the thing.
Yeah,
he's just a good person, which is what we're saying, and that goes a long way, because people genuinely, you know what I mean? Someone can't go on Facebook and get in touch with, lead singer of Metallica or whatever. You know, you can't just do that.
Yeah, they don't.
Where someone in a band as in the pool of music and genre,
to throw some other people
and to give a shit about his fans and stuff is brilliant.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
To throw some other names real quick, because I don't want viewers to think that this is the Argyle Goolsby fan club.
Absolutely,
I definitely think it kind of is, but I would just like to throw out that
you just called him Steven and no one would have known.
Hey. What? And Steve.
Right, Steve.
Like Noah, Shadow Windhawk. When I came there, he was very, very he was very open. He was he shared his place. He was very good to me. Mr. Monster, Jason Troxton.
Hello.
I was able to different one.
The other Mr. Monster.
I was able to send him one of my songs that I wrote that I never put out there, and he actually gave me some great pointers and said that it was actually very good. So I mean, I appreciate that I could do that. The whole silent horror bullshit happened. Which,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
whatever side you're on, it's whatever.
Yeah.
He messaged me and said, "Hey, thank you for not getting involved because you don't just keep getting torn up anymore." Let's see. You know, for everybody in Calabrese, I've been able to do many different interviews. Davey, I'll share a story with Davey. So they had very few of the pre-order patches for Born with the Scorpion's Touch. They'd found 5, and they had sold them. There was only 2 sitting on the table, and he was just like, yeah, were you able to get everything you wanted? And I was just like, honestly, I ran out of money because I just bought everything else. And he was like, well, what weren't you able to get? I was like, honestly, I wasn't able to get that. And he was just like, okay, hold on. Right. Went over to the table, snatched it without his brother's noticing. He said, now, if anyone asks, you bought that. And I was just like, holy crap. Always good. They were actually my first horror punk interview. It was them, and then I did the psychobilly band, Cold Blue Rebels.
Cold Blue Rebels.
I love them.
Yeah, great band. Shortest interview I ever did. I was in their back room, sitting on the couch. It's on the couch like 2.5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was just like, too, it's like, this is what I want to say, and yeah, boom, we're done. And it was funny because the bass leaves, and everybody else was just like, we kind of want to do more, but he kind of said everything in a very short amount of time. So.
Yeah, you expect like a 20-minute slot, really, don't you, with an interview? Yeah.
Yeah, but it was good though, because they were really nice to me, and that's one of the things I wanted to say is just like
sorry. You're checking the connections.
Generally, this entire culture, because I would like to consider like psychobilly, I would like to consider death rock, I would like to consider horror punk. It is a darkly inclined music culture, and the nice thing is that most of them are generally just great guys.
Absolutely, it's a community, Stefan, and over here in the UK. It is a community because we live on a tiny little island and there's not many of us. Similar with Germany, I guess in America it might be a bit different because you're all so far apart. But we see it as a community, and when you say about psychobilly, death rock, horror punk, we all encompass it on this podcast as horror music. Yeah. Because we call it horror punk very blasé, but to us it's horror music. It's all of the above and more.
I mean, even speaking on Germany and everything, and he probably doesn't remember because it was only like 2015 when I had this conversation. But Thorsten, freaking the other, you know, I messaged him one time and I said like, man, I would really like to see you guys live. Unfortunately, I never got the chance. And I said, but you know, I'm of heavy German descent. I am German and Scandinavian. That is literally all that's in my blood, and I would really like to go and visit because my family hasn't even been in America for 100 years.
Right.
Like World War II happened, and my family just hightailed their asses out of there.
Okay, right.
And so I said, you know, I want to visit. Like my family's like, I want to visit Germany. And he said, well, if you ever do, hit me up. You can stay in my house, and I will take you around Germany myself.
We get some good German beer.
Yeah. He's at Torsten. Torsten. I've worked with Torsten with Devolution magazine, which I mentioned earlier. You don't need to ask him for anything because he's very, very a giving person. We've got a lot in common. We like the same bands. And he's a fellow journalist and very easy to get on with, and a very nice guy is Torsten. And I think he's a little bit older than me. He's not
as old as me.
Maybe older. What the fuck?
Do you know what I mean? He's got that bit of experience behind him, and he's got that trustworthy element to him, because I think he's great.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing when they came to the States a few years ago. My band actually opened for them here in San Diego and over in Long Beach, and like he was just like the nicest guy on the planet. And he like we were messaging back and forth because I set up the show in San Diego, and just a really nice guy. Gave us a lot of compliments, and just I don't hear enough good things about him. Or you can't say enough good things about him.
Oh no, I think Thorsten. I think if someone actually asked me what is the best voice in horror punk music, I say it's almost a three-way tie. You have to have TV up there, you have to have Argyle, and if you don't mention Rod Usher.
Rod Usher, Thorsten, absolutely.
If you don't mention those, I don't know if I can take the conversation seriously from that point.
I agree. I don't know if they're the most important, but personally, Stefan, they're two of my very favorite.
Oh no, the other is in my top 5. The other ranks number 3.
Yeah, two of my favorites. Yeah. And we had this conversation before at the Hall of Brains. Who's your favorite singers?
Yeah.
And
whether or not it's your favorite band, who's got that
voice.
That voice. Do you know what I mean? That you hear them, you go, you know who that is without having to be told.
Gotta be Gorsby. Like I said, Thorsten, and I really like Noah's voice. So I like that. I like that style of music.
Noah Winhawk is a great example of a new horror punk band that has their own voice and their own sound, and by the way, is very obviously. This goes back into another thing that we were already talking about. I don't think there's anything wrong with being able to be a horror punk band and actually able to be different, because the thing is that you have bands like Zombie Cock, you have bands like The Other, you have bands like Blitzkid, Argyle's band. All these bands are 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, horror punk. Each one of these bands sounds differently in their own right. Everybody has been trying to sound like the Misfits for such a long time, and as Rick actually said, you have people going, oh, but you don't sound enough like the Misfits. Let's throw that bullshit out the door. Let the Misfits. I mean, wearing a Renfield shirt, they're definitely a horror punk band, and it's a very different sounding band. Which, by the way, they're on my stack. Vincent Renfield, he's a very nice guy. I appreciate.
Very, very awesome, good friend.
Yeah, I mean,
nice guy.
There is a lot that can still be done in this genre. You do not need to actually try to. Look, first of all, don't try to be a horror punk band. Just play your damn music. That's first and foremost. That's what's needed. If you happen to fit into horror punk, good on you. If you don't, I'll probably still listen to your music. I don't give a shit. I really love Lebanon Hanover. Sounds nothing like what we're talking about today. Love them to death, but you have so many unique voices who are hands down 100% horror punk bands, and there's still way more that can be done. And I refute the idea that to qualify as horror punk, you have to sound like the Misfits. But if you don't,
why would you want to be the next Misfits when you can be the first Rick Treat or whatever? Why would you want to be constantly compared and be the next, the next? Why wouldn't you want to be the first?
I don't think Argyle wishes that he was the Misfits. I mean, look at all that Argyle is able to do. He's able to talk to fans. He has a amazing wife. Jordan is an absolute sweetheart. Mm-hmm. We actually, to share a funny story, we got on really well. We messaged each other for years as friends. And we finally got to meet. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
And we messaged each other, not all the time, but every once in a while. And I finally got to meet her at the show, and pretty much we spent 20 minutes just who has the worst white trash, Texas or West Virginia. Right. I was able to beat her out, and I don't know if I'm proud of that or not, but
at least you won, dude.
Yes, that's what matters. USA. No, I'm kidding. Like that. But you know, with everything that he's able to do, everything is so personal, and his career, let's be honest, is longer than the Misfits. I don't think he wants to be the Misfits. The glory days of the Misfits, as according to Glenn Danzig, were nothing but bullshit. Yeah. It was hard work, losing money, sleeping.
Big lawsuit, and that's it. Yeah. It's all bad.
Yeah.
Well, he literally said that in another interview, like, and this was back when this is early '90s Danzig, when he was just like, hey, so what about your early days? How were your early days of touring? It's like, if I had to sum it up, roach infested floors.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Argyle isn't looking like, oh man, that's what I aspire, roach.
Can't wait to be like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't come across that way. I mean, he's not. He's not making an obvious homage to the Misfits. He's doing his complete own spin. You don't listen to a Blitz kid and go, fuck me, this sounds just like Misfits. Very rarely would you ever do that. Because we know a little bit about the scene and stuff. We know there's a comparison to be made, but that you wouldn't put a Blitz kid album on and go, fuck me, that sounds like the Misfits. They want to be like Misfits.
No, you wouldn't know.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
He doesn't. Same with a lot of bands, but there is that overarching. Yeah, yes.
You started somewhere and you don't know where the end is, do you?
Busted! What the fuck?
That's what it is.
The plan was to keep talking and eventually.
Yeah. That's it. Keep going. Just keep talking. Keep talking.
No one will notice.
Over in the States, we call that politics.
Oh, see what you did there.
I was saying, Misfits is the 60s Batman. Yeah, Aldo Goolsby's Kevin Conroy.
There you go. But yeah,
it's still Batman.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah. For those who know who Kevin Conroy is, the voice
Kevin
of Batman.
Conroy.
I'm joking, fuck's sake, chill.
Conroy. But my favourite Batman is the
Keep your nose on.
So they're both still Batman, but in different times and different periods.
That was exactly what I meant. Like literally, that metaphor was exactly what I meant.
Of course it was.
I'll believe you.
In a way.
That's because we've got it going on here, you see. Up here for thinking, down here for dancing.
That's it. Other way around with me.
Yeah. So how long have we been going now, guys?
Hour and a half.
So the takeaway from today's video is horror punk is about Batman.
Yeah, that is it.
Everything's about Batman.
Everything's about Batman. Break it down. You can use Batman for any analogy ever. There you go.
It's all about Batman.
It's all about Batman.
All about Batman.
And on that crazy note, yeah.
That's it.
That's it, really.
Yeah.
Go on.
Anything else you wanted to address? Or?
I think we addressed a lot.
I think we addressed a lot.
Yeah.
That hour and a half went like that.
Yeah.
I kept jumping out because I thought the connection was going, so I went upstairs like, what the fuck?
We can't speak in here, can we? Right, lads, I think that was it. I assume, Gaz, when this goes online, we'd have edited all this part out.
No, fuck it.
Hi, if you're watching, by the way.
And to be honest, I've never done any fucking editing in my entire life. I don't know what a fucking edit is. Have you seen a fucking podcast before? What the fuck are we watching? But yeah.
And if you've just joined us...
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what we were fucking on about.
We've got 10 hours more of discussion. We can do this.
Oh, all day long.
I generally think we should make more of a deal with this, and every couple of months or every couple of we should all get together again and just talk like we did, because we've just brought up brilliant points. And like I said, for one question, we've talked an hour and a half of one question.
I've had a lot of fun talking about what we're speaking about. Absolutely,
I'm digging it. I think we should make this a bit more of a thing.
Let's do it
again. We've always said about.
Yeah.
My main thing is, one thing we've always said is about trying to get every fucker involved. Exactly. And it's like, this is good because we've got fucking... Like we said, it's like, it's not trying to fucking compare it to like two things, but it's us dickheads in the UK, and you've got you guys in the States. So they're two different fucking, like, we could talk shit all night. It's like we're all in the same fucking room. As much as I'm looking at a fucking laptop screen, it's really good to hear that real fucking fans, because the thing is with this fucking...
It's like with like-minded people with a similar...
Like
exactly.
You don't have to be a band for us to talk to you.
And the thing is, it's like we always try to deal with this fucking podcast. It's a case of like...
We can fucking talk, we can, yeah.
Oh, fucking no.
We can talk
this is brilliant, and I want to get, you know, I want to get both Stefan and Rikk, you know, back on again, and just have a fucking chat.
Yeah, man. And the best thing is but with all this, it's like, you're going to get fucking keyboard warrior comments. You get fucking death threats, all that kind of shit. But... The one thing I've always said about everything we did when we started this YouTube channel...
I'm going to kill you from over here in England.
Exactly, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
But my main thing is, we're fucking...
Like travelling across the globe.
Yeah, I've got a plane ticket, I'm going to come over there and fucking stab you. But yeah, it always fucking works, doesn't it?
Worth a plane ticket. It's
a fucking plane ticket, and I've got my fucking passport, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. I've got my ticket and my hotel. And my trip to Disneyland, while I'm there.
Fuck off.
I've never killed anybody, I've never been to Disneyland, so you killed two birds with one stone.
Right, I'm trying to have a deep moment here.
Death threat, by the way, that weren't me.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
It's just clearing that up.
I just wanted to say, like, you know, thank you for having me on the show. I mean, I've enjoyed this. I hope that it helps create a lot of cross promotion, a lot of attention. So yeah, thank you to Rikk for also.
Both of you. Thanks for taking time out your day.
Like between the group of us, like with everything.
You guys? What time of day are we looking at with you guys now?
It's 4:18.
It's 6:18.
And it's
11:18.
11:18.
Yeah. PM.
Literally, we're nearly in tomorrow already.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, you know, something along the same lines as Anatheman is like, I'm stoked to work with you guys, and like, watching his videos and your guys' videos has really, you know, helped me create my own stuff. You know, that's been an influence on my stuff. So I'm stoked to be working with you guys, and would love to be on this again. You know.
That's what it's about. It's one.
Like we
said, it's all.
Genre scene. I call it a community, but yeah, it's
the supporting the support. That's what I always try to do with you.
It's all part.
We all do this. Yeah. We all do this.
We're all Batman.
Well, we're all
Yes, we are Batman.
I'll be Red Hood. You guys be Batman.
Oh, that's starting shit now. Fuck me, Mr. Plow.
Mr. Plow. That's my name.
again.
Fucking right it is.
And on that note, here's
right.
the porn.
Yes, man.
Fuck yeah. Right. Well, before you go.
Thanks very much, guys.
All right then. See you in a bit then. Right. Before we go.
On a serious note, I need a piss, a cigarette, and a beverage.
That's what they all say. Right. Give your fucking channels a shout out, and we'll fucking close it up. Just fucking pimp your pages and your YouTube channels and your Facebook page, and we're from there.
Sweet. I need to refill my drink.
Yeah, we're gonna go get drunk.
They're like, Jesus Christ, it's in the afternoon, man. I realise it's nearly tomorrow.
Jason, we were drunk at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Anyway, he's gone for a pee, so.
Well, let's go refill up.
What? Right, I'm going.
Fuck yeah! All right, I'll leave it to it. Fuck's sake!
Howdy.
You're waiting for him.
No, I'm going to do
sake.
It's like Police Squad, where I pause and just wait for the credits to roll.
Yeah, well, you're going to be waiting for a long fucking time.
Next week on.
oh yeah, no, we need that. We need like a funny moment where we can pause and be like,
yeah,
and then like the credits just like roll up the screen
as we're slowly moving. Naked Gun style. Police
sucking a
squad.
fucking robot.
So
Fuck's sake.
After 3, 1, 2, 3, and pose. Roll credits. You doing Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Go on.
I was just holding up a lemon because I want people to go fucking lemon.
Yeah. After all that serious talk, we start acting like clowns. What the fuck?
Everybody watch the entire video.
I've got Lucas's phone up here, so I'll just start fucking sending messages and stuff off it.
Too right. Right. Let's say goodbye then. Right then, Meows. Shout out your YouTube channels and stuff, and give us a bit of a send off. Not you, Monster, because you're fucking with me.
I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying, yeah.
you said right. I'm like, yeah, you're on one. Right, go on then, dudes.
Go.
Well, all right. This has been Rick Retreat, hanging out with Undead 13 and Anatheman von Stitchenstein.
Fuck yeah, that's what we like.
This is Anatheman von Stitchenstein. Over here
Right.
at HorrorPunksUnite, saying stay creepy.
Winner, Monster, any last words?
Yeah, this is Monster. Without Lucas, he's fucked off somewhere. And we're signing off. We'll speak to y'all later.